Okay. Shoot. Let's get started. So this is Bio 231, which is A and P1. This is section E80. I'm Dr. Poe. I'm used to going by Dr. Poe. It's actually sort of common in my family. My dad's a doctor, my older brother's a doctor, so it sort of rolls off the tongue in our family. But I'll respond to variations of that, Mr. Poe, Professor Poe, hey you, something like that. As long as it's not offensive, I'll probably respond to it. As far as introducing all of you, I'll get to know you by name, hopefully fairly quickly. I have some tricks for doing that, which I didn't quite get ready for myself this morning, but that's that one. So today's going to be really about how this class works, or at least most of the first half of it. It's important that you understand how the class works so that you can do the things required of you in a timely fashion. So that's what I'm going to do here at the beginning. It's not the most exciting day, but it's really the only way to make sure that everybody understands what's going on. I often start off with some sort of introductory, well, I put something up on the screen that leads me to start talking about something, and it's usually something that kind of pops up in my field of view shortly before class. A couple of years ago, I came across this picture of, or not a picture, but a meme, if you will, with the quote from the proverbial fourth grade math teacher saying, you have to learn how to do it, with pen and paper because not everybody's going to have a calculator in their pocket all the time. The idea there is everybody does have a calculator in their pocket now. And I kind of like the idea that sort of proverbial, go-to explanation for grade school math that you have to learn how to do it because you won't have tools to use at your disposal all the time really doesn't make sense anymore because technology is advanced. And I use that as sort of a jumping off point to talk about technologies I use in the classroom, which I guess I kind of did anyways. I just didn't put the picture up on the screen. I can't remember, last year I came across an interesting article that I used to start off with. It's completely escaping me now, but for whatever reason, over the past couple of weeks, just nothing's really come across my, you don't have to knock, come on in.
I'm sorry, we're looking for Greco?
That would be chemistry, that'd be building 17.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yep. So, where was it? Nothing really came across my desk, so to speak, over the last couple of weeks. Nothing kind of inspired me from the beginning of this. I have this great idea that I just haven't gotten around to doing, which is to make a screen that's full of all sorts of different pictures that kind of apply to that idea. Didn't do that. I don't know. I will kind of use that sort of technology jumping off point for a second because I really kind of like to use technology. I'm the sort of person that buys new gadgets when they come out and that kind of thing. And I like to use those as tools for what I do, and most of what I do is teaching. So I try to take advantage of that. Now, I can't quite make every gadget that I come across work for teaching, but I do use quite a bit of technology. And in doing that, I developed the course as I teach it now. This is a hybrid course, which means that it's kind of distance and it's kind of face-to-face. As a lab course, it's not really suitable to being fully online. I don't think the subject matter of A&P really can get across as a full distance course, to basically stick a student out in the woods and say, find your way through all this stuff and you'll learn A&P. It really needs to be something where we meet regularly and I help you with the more challenging stuff. But it's not as involved as the more traditional course where you'd, if it's the summer, you'd be coming in every day for 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, or 2 days a week for 10 days. Wait, that's that right? Every day, 4 hours a day, 4 days a week for 5 weeks, or 2 days a week for 10 days. So this is 1 day a week, which I think is a little bit better for the way that people learn. Well, there's some variation, but you really do need some time to incorporate information a little bit. And if we were to do stuff today to start off the class, and then tomorrow we do the next chapter, the next day we do the next chapter, by the time the weekend comes around, you'd have so much new information in your head that you'd go crazy. Some people thrive on that, and actually when I was in college, I really liked taking summer courses because it was sort of an intensive, jump in the deep end kind of experience, and I liked it. And for classes outside my major, actually, I did much better in the summer than I did in the regular semester, where I had to juggle 4 or 5 courses at the same time, like that. But here, it's kind of a meld as far as summer's concerned between the two. This is 10 weeks. You're going to get the whole class. It's a little quicker than a regular semester. Regular semesters are 14 or 15 weeks. So it will go a little bit quicker, but you'll have sort of a week to digest material before we go on to the next thing, for the most part. Considering the technological side of the course, it's run through Blackboard. And if you've not used Blackboard before, and I know a lot of you have gotten on there already, but I just want to point this out for everybody's benefit. You can get to Blackboard from the school website directly. This pull-down menu has an option in it that says Blackboard, and you click the Go button, and it'll take you to this page. This is not now, this page is not hosted by the school. We were just at stick.edu, and now we're at stick.blackboard.com. This is hosted by the Blackboard company. We just have our own sort of subdomain in it that we use to run all of our classes. What that means is this Blackboard website is not dependent on our school's web servers functioning properly. It's not a big deal, but I was teaching one summer actually at a different school, and their web servers went down, and it caused all sorts of problems for a day. They actually used Blackboard, but they hosted it locally, which saved them some money, I suppose. But when their school servers went down, students lost access to Blackboard. For Blackboard hosted this way, if our school servers go down, which doesn't happen very often, but if they do, that won't affect access to Blackboard. It is possible for the Blackboard servers to go down, but since this company, their business is to keep their site up, they do a very good job of making sure everything's working. There are times that the Blackboard servers get a little overtaxed. I doubt that's going to happen in the summer, just because in general there's not as many students and schools taking classes. But like at the end of the semester, when all the students are trying to get stuff done in the fall or the spring, it gets a little bit glitchy. But in the summer, we probably won't have to deal with that. Besides just explaining the idea of hosting here a little bit, the other thing I want to point out about this is I showed you how to get to this page from the school website. Once you've gotten to this page, go ahead and bookmark this. I wouldn't suggest you go through the school webpage to get to this all the time. You will be going to this page quite a bit. So go ahead and bookmark this so that you have it handy. Like I said, many of you have already gotten online, I know that, but if you haven't, let me just explain how you get into Blackboard. Your username, as we run at the school, is the same as your username for your student email account. It's probably your first initial, middle initial if you have one, and your last name. So mine's BH Poe. My first initial is B, my middle initial is H, and my last name is Poe. And if you've not logged in before, this link right here that says login instructions tells you what to do the first time you log into Blackboard. Everybody has a default password, and it tells you what it is there. Once you've logged in, then you want to change your password to something that you'll remember and other people can't figure out. You'll log into Blackboard, and it'll take you to this page. It won't look exactly like this, of course, because this is my account, but it'll look something like this. What's important is you'll have a course list. I have a bunch of courses, of course, because I'm an instructor. So you won't see all of this, but you will see one course at least in here that says Summer 2015 A&P 1 E80. That's our section there. That might be the only course you see if this is the only class you're taking in the summer, but if you're taking another class, you might see that listed as well, whatever that might be. And when you click on that, you'll get to this page. If you've used Blackboard with other courses, this page probably looks a little bit different. We upgraded the Blackboard software a little over a year ago now, I guess, and it gave us the ability to set up different looking kinds of pages. And so I chose this one. The standard way that most pages are set up, that if you're taking another Blackboard course, it might look like, it just has the announcements on the front page. And that's not a very useful thing by itself. I don't use announcements a whole lot. I might write 3 or 4 over the course of the summer. So that wouldn't change a whole lot for you. So I've asked it to add some other things to this. Now, what I think is most helpful is this section right here, which for whatever reason is called the to-do list. But it's really where due dates are listed. When you first log into Blackboard for this course, that'll be blank. You have to tell it to give you the information you need, unless the on-campus Blackboard guide changed the settings. But I'm pretty sure its default is it doesn't show you anything here. If you want to see due dates, which I would suggest, it'll help you keep an eye, keep on top of the course, you'll need to change the settings here. And that's weird. Oh, that's right. I was looking for an icon up here for settings, but it's this edit notification settings button here. Of course, you won't have a bunch of courses. You'll just have this one. But you go in there and you'll see this kind of table. You want to check off the things that are going to be posted there. Now you could just go ahead and check them all off, but really the only things you need are the things that have to do with due dates. And so if you just go through here, what in the world? And choose anything that has the word due in it. For some reason these changed recently on me. So test overdue, test due, survey due, survey overdue, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know if I'm going to use all of these things, but if it has the word due in it anywhere, go ahead and check it off. There's 3 columns here. This one says dashboard, which is referring to what you see on that page I was just showing you. You can also have notifications sent to you by email, or mobile is referring to the Blackboard app if you have that installed on your phone or tablet. And it's up to you if you want to set any of that stuff up. But for the web page itself, go ahead and check everything off that says due on it, and hit submit. Now, for some reason, I don't know why, it always takes me back to this page. Yeah. So I'm going back here to get back to the course page, and nothing's changed. Now, the reason for that is because I'm an instructor, I'm not a student, so I don't have any things that are due. It's kind of annoying in Blackboard. I can't show you things with a student view. It only shows my view. But if you do what I just said, then it'll list things that are due here. And you can change the date to see when things are due. And all of these zeros will change to the numbers of things that you have for the class. So I would suggest that you go into these edit notification settings and set that up. So every time that you open the course page, you see right off what you have to do. Okay. Now, there are some things about this page that you won't see, again, because I'm an instructor and you're a student. I have an edit mode. So this is more like what you would see, except that you won't have this course management menu down here because you're not managing the course, obviously. But you will see this menu here. If I'm ever showing you stuff on the Blackboard website and you see more stuff, like these extra items in the menu down here, these are things that I've made invisible to students. I haven't quite decided to delete them yet, but they're still in there. So if you see that stuff, don't think that you're supposed to see it too. All of the other stuff here is what you normally would see. Now, in the summers, often since I've just got 2 courses running, A&P 1, obviously you guys, and then I have A&P 2 on Wednesday. Having fewer courses, I try to sort of try out new things. So there will be a lot of stuff that I'll refer to that is kind of a work in progress. And one of those things is how I have this menu set up. Let me go back to the edit off. So curious. This first section here, I've put links in that take you directly to the different parts of the course. What I used to do is I had 2 links there. One said current week and the other one said next week. And I changed those links week to week so that it would point to what's relevant. Last summer I tried that out. It worked great, again, because I only have 2 classes to deal with. But then over the regular semesters this past year, I was trying to do that too. And it got to be a big freaking mess. I was dealing with 5 different classes at a time, maybe more. And they were each changing the week schedule, different times. So like the Tuesday class had to change things on Tuesday, the Thursday class had to change Thursday, et cetera, et cetera. And it really got out of hand. So I decided to skip that. So what I've done is I've just put things in here with links to everything. These links are essentially what's in a link right here. This says weekly material, which I suppose I ought to change that to say unit material. But if you go here, you see folders for all the different things that we're doing this semester. And really, each of these folders corresponds to a link in this first section of the menu here. So what that means for you is you need to keep on top of where we are in the semester. Okay? Those links that say unit 1, 2, 3, etc. aren't going to change. They'll be the same all throughout the semester, and you just have to think about, what week is it, what are we doing this week, that kind of thing. And I'll show you where to get that stuff, where to get to that stuff. But the one difference between what you see in this page and the links I have here is for each unit folder, it has what that folder is about: introduction, biochemistry, cell biology, et cetera, et cetera. I couldn't fit all of that into the menu here, so it just says unit 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever in there. But it's essentially links to what's in this folder here. If you ever want to get back to this page for some reason, there's a link here that says planner. This is considered the planner page, so take it back here. Actually, as I'm showing you this, let me turn the lights down so we can see the screen better. Is that too dark? Fair enough. How's that light coming in for everybody?
Okay.
Okay, don't fall asleep on So what I want to show you to help you understand what's going on with the course is to go to the syllabus here. I don't quite understand how to get this point across any better. All of the questions you have should be answered in the syllabus. I can't quite bring myself to be hard-nosed enough about it that if somebody asks me a question that's in the syllabus and I just say, I'm not answering your question, go to the syllabus, I can't quite bring myself to do that. But I really want to. I had a student this past year, A&P 1 in the fall, A&P 2 in the spring, who continuously asked me questions, and every single one would have been answered if they'd just gone to the syllabus. And I never quite got to the point of saying, you need to read the syllabus, but I did sort of generally in class a couple of times tell everybody, remember, the syllabus is where all your answers are. Didn't help. Just kept getting questions from that same student. But that's to sort of stress, go to the syllabus if you have questions. If the syllabus doesn't answer it and you have to ask that question, that's fine. And that actually will help point out things that I've not covered very well in the syllabus. Okay. I'm not going to read through all of this stuff. I just want to sort of guide you through things and point out the important stuff. Course description just tells you what A&P 1's about. And the course objectives, this is sort of a teaching methodology tool, I suppose. If I'm teaching, I should have an idea of what I should be teaching you to you. Or if you're learning, you should have an idea of what you should be learning in this course. For the school in general, we have these things called course competencies. Every department had to sit down, and for every class they teach, they had to come up with the objectives that they wanted for that. And that's something that was done actually before I started working here, so more than a decade ago. I never really liked those. They all have understand something, understand something, and they're very boring texts to read. So I took that and I changed all those understands to more descriptive words like describe, define, name, things that you should be able to do when you come out of this course. And then also I tailored it a little bit to how I present this course. But if you want to get an idea of what this course is meant to do for you, look at the course objectives. And a little bit more importantly, if there's something there that you feel you're not getting out of this course, please bring it to my attention, because that means I'm not doing my job properly. The next thing here is prerequisites. This is kind of an interesting time for our department. This is the first time A&P has really had prerequisites. It used to always be the high school biology and chemistry. The problem with that is that we cannot check everybody's high school transcripts. It's just not something that we're set up to do. Transcripts are, as often as not, sent to us in paper form, and we can't go to the files and look everything up. So it used to be essentially an open enrollment course. There's no way to check that people had the prerequisite biology and chemistry. But we've done a little research over the past year or two, and we figured out that people are most successful in this course if they've taken certain classes to begin with. So the fact that you're in here suggests that you have completed all these prerequisites. There's somebody in the dean's office that's supposed to double check all of this. But there's DRG, that must be reading, 92, and writing, 99. Those are the developmental courses for people that aren't ready for college level classes. When you started here, hopefully you took placement tests to determine your English and math skills. And so either it told you you had to take one of those classes, or it placed you at college level English. So if you were placed at college level English, then you've satisfied those requirements. If you weren't placed there, then you should have taken those by now, which is good because there's a lot of reading and writing involved in a course like this. So you need to be able to do that. And then it says, actually, let me make this a little bit bigger because this is kind of the new point of all of this. So there's all that stuff about English I just said. And then it says Bio 101 or 201 with a minimum grade of C+, or Math 97 with a minimum grade of C-. Bio 101 is our introductory biology for non-majors. Bio 201 is an introductory biology for majors. And the point there is this is a biology course. We're an upper level biology course, 231. And so you should have a basis of biology there. And in taking those biology courses, you would also be exposed to the required chemistry for understanding biology. If you have not taken one of those biology courses, don't freak out, because notice right after it says those, right after the parenthesis closes after a minimum grade of C+, it says or Math 97. What that means is you might not have taken the biology classes, but as long as you've taken that, I think that's Algebra 2, Math 97. As long as you've taken that, that satisfies the prerequisites, which might seem a little strange. But it really comes from our looking at the data. What we did is we took everybody that's taken A&P 1 and looked at the different factors that seem to go into their success, looking for people that did better than a C or whatever in the course. And what we found is one of the best representations of that is if you've taken Algebra 2, which I think is what 97 is, you're probably going to do better in A&P than if you haven't taken that. It doesn't give you the background of the biology and chemistry, but what I think it means is that it does give you the background to think in a logical way and understand scientific information. Granted, it's a math course, but science and math are related to each other. So we saw that. So you might not have taken the biology courses, but if you've taken, like I said, I think it's Algebra 2, we can probably assume that you're prepared to take a course like this. The difference is, however, if you haven't taken the biology and you have just taken the math, you need to do a little bit of work to be sure that you're comfortable with the basic biology and chemistry stuff. Now, that's actually part of what we're going to do in the beginning of the course, so don't freak out. But I am going to put a little bit more on you to understand that stuff than a lot of the other topics in this course. But if you've taken algebra, we've seen you're more likely to do well in this class, or if you've taken the biology. Okay. So our data just said people that have taken an introductory biology course or that have completed Algebra 2, which would mean that you're at college level math. So you might not have taken Algebra 2 here, but again, placement tests might have put you at that level. Then our data suggests that you're more likely to be successful here. So that's what the prerequisites you're getting at. Now, this is the very first time that's been an issue. We've been working on trying to get these prerequisites set up for a while. And last semester was the last time that this was effectively an open enrollment course, and now we're actually paying attention to that. So, like I said, if you're here, I'm pretty sure the dean's office does the weeding out, so you should be fine. If you feel that you aren't prepared for this course, that's an individual conversation we can have, and I can hopefully give you some help getting prepared for the course more. The next thing here is about success in the course. I don't want to go into this a whole lot other than just showing up doesn't mean that you're going to do well in this course. You need to do some work and to prepare. Okay? It's a tough course, so pay attention to what that says and use that as a way to sort of get prepared for this course. The next thing here is about the book for the course. Has anybody been to the bookstore to buy books for this course? Yes? Okay, take them back. Get your money back. I did not ask the bookstore to order any books for this class. So you should not be eating in here. Put those away. And generally, don't make crinkly noises. That bugs the hell out of me. I have to order, well, somebody has to order books for classes, sometime in the spring every year. And so I said, I want no books for this course. All of my colleagues who teach A&P 1 did order books. And I'm just moving into a new sort of way to approach books where you don't have to buy any books. If you took A&P 1 from anybody else in this department, you would have paid $370 for books. Okay. Now, granted, those books would be for A&P 1 and 2 together. You wouldn't have to buy any more books for A&P 2. But taking it with me, you do not have to spend any money on books. Okay. Now, you might want to spend some money on a book, and I'll explain why in a little bit. But ostensibly, the books are free for this course. This is the book that we're using. It has a kind of nondescript cover that just says Anatomy and Physiology. It is an online book. This is a link to the book's webpage, which is hosted by this website called OpenStax. And so OpenStax CNX is the name of this website that's hosted on. OpenStax College is really the name of the publishing outfit. OpenStax is a nonprofit organization that's based out of Rice University in Houston, which is why the Rice logo is up in the top corner, which was originally started because a professor at Rice said, I need a textbook, and there's just not a good textbook out there for my students to buy. I want to develop a textbook for my class online. Now, if I remember correctly, he was teaching an upper-level computer programming course, so he was thinking more along the lines of information technologies and computer programming, so he wanted to do something where the book was online and students could get access to it in a fairly reliable way. From that initiative, this outfit, OpenStax, was created. They're funded by major foundations like the Gates Foundation and Lumina Foundation and 20 Million Minds and all that sort of thing. So somebody else is giving them money to make books. Making books takes some money. You have to pay for editors, you have to pay for authors, you have to pay for artists, you have to pay for the website that's hosting this, et cetera, et cetera. But since these foundations are the ones that are footing the bill, you as a student don't have to pay for the book. Okay? So the book's free. Now, if you want a physical copy of the book, if you're the type of person that likes to have paper and that sort of thing in your hands, you can get that. That does require some money, but you're just paying printing costs. You're paying somebody to actually make the book, but you're not paying for any of the content. And the book is about $52, if I remember correctly, if you want to do that. If you want to get the printed version of the book, it's sold through Amazon. So if you just go to Amazon and search for OpenStax College, you'll get all of the books that they sell. And obviously, it's the A&P one. If you have financial aid, you can get the book using financial aid through our bookstore. I normally say, go talk to so-and-so, but I forgot that he just got promoted or left for a new job or something like that. I can't remember the name of the person who took his place. If you're interested in getting the book from the bookstore using financial aid, and you go down there and they don't know what you're talking about, contact me and I'll figure out who needs to know what's going on. But if you don't need financial aid, just get it directly from Amazon. It just cuts out the middleman. I think there might be textbook rental outfits that provide that. So for $5 or $7 or something like that, you can get the book. If you want a physical copy of the book, you can get the book to have while you're in class, and then you send it back after you're done with it. I'm actually not sure about the charge there. It might be more than $7, but I think somebody once told me the price, and it seems like it's really pretty cheap. I don't know offhand any of the textbook rental companies, but I'm sure if you do Google search for them, you'll find them. So OpenStax College is, like I said, a nonprofit that's funded to publish books. Actually, the story I told you about the computer programming professor that started all this, his book isn't something that OpenStax College would make. The books that they make are the bigger books for courses that have lots of students taking. For instance, we have, for your average semester, like 450 or 500 students taking A&P. Or they have a statistics book, or an accounting book, or intro biology book, or history, pre-calculus, et cetera, et cetera. Those are all big courses at your average college. So a small course like upper level programming, they're not going to put the money into developing. But this CNX thing actually is a way for a professor to make his own textbook, like that professor I was talking about. But these bigger textbooks like this are made editorially, meaning that an editorial staff is hired, authors are hired, artists are commissioned, et cetera, et cetera. And it's done just like any other textbooks made. Now, I'm familiar with this process because I was actually one of the authors for this book. Now, sometimes you take a class and the professor says, okay, you're going to buy my book, and you're going to use my book to take the class. Usually when that happens, for every book sale that the author gets, he gets a little bit of royalties. Okay? I get nothing from your use of this book. Okay? I was paid for my time writing the book, writing the part of the book that I did, but I have no back end, so to speak. I don't get any royalties from that. Instead, I want to do this simply because I think you don't need to shell out $370 for textbooks. Okay? Now, there are a couple of things that you don't get using this book than you would buying the books that my colleagues are using, but I don't think it's anything that we need to really worry about. I found ways around a lot of those issues, and other new things are coming around every day. Some of them aren't going to be ready this summer, but I think this is a good way to go, especially considering the savings for you. Okay. Now, I opened that up by asking if anybody had bought books yet from the bookstore. If you did go to the bookstore and you say, I'm taking A&P, I need the books, they'll sell you the books for the other A&P courses. But they really shouldn't have sold you books because I'm different from my colleagues. And if you did buy them, even if you open them, you should take them back and get a refund because they sold you what you should not have gotten. And if that doesn't work, if you take the books back and they say, sorry, you opened them, you bought them, tell me and I'll yell at the appropriate person to get your money back for you. Now, the link I just showed you that took us to this page is not the link you're going to always use. I have specific links to the parts of the book that you need to read. But the book's set up into units. We'll start with the first unit. Today, ostensibly, is the first chapter. Next week, we're going to be considering chapters 2 and 3 together. And then the week after that, and I think the week after that, too, we're going to be in chapter 4. And then we'll move on to the next section. So we look where we start looking at the different organ systems. So we have skin, skeleton, joints, muscles, and then we go into the nervous system. Nervous system here. Now, actually, the nervous system chapters are the ones that I wrote. My background is in neuroscience, meaning I have my doctorate is in neuroscience. I specifically studied, well, I should say, I actually had 2 aspects of study. One, I started off by studying the development of sensory systems, mainly how hearing gets connected up in the brain in the embryo. And the money ran out for that, so I switched to a different project, and I wrote my dissertation based on something having to do with the aging brain. I'm actually not interested in aging or any of that stuff. It just happened to be where the money is, and I got to do something similar to what I was interested in originally. But I moved away from being so specific about neuroscience. Obviously, I teach A&P. I'm more interested in the whole body. But still, that's where my focus was originally, so that's sort of my expert field. And I got involved with this book, and I wrote those chapters. Now, in that section, Unit 3, Regulation, Integration, and Control, it's actually the nervous system and endocrine system. I did not write the endocrine system section of the book. I wrote the other ones, but so there's 6 chapters here. I wrote 5 of them, and then the 6th one was written by somebody else. Now, at this school where we split A&P 1 and A&P 2 is actually in the middle of the nervous system. So we're going to get into this 3rd unit this semester. We're going to actually look at 4 of the 5 chapters about the nervous system. And then in A&P 2, we pick up with that. We finish out the nervous system, and then we go on to the endocrine system, and then the other 3 units of the book there finish out A&P 2. So this is a book equivalent to what students are paying $370 for at the bookstore. It covers both semesters. It's laid out very similarly to any of those books. And in fact, in the editorial process, we were trying really hard to write a book that was a competitor to those other books. And there are a lot of things about this that are as good as, if not better than, some of the books we have. Now, it is the first edition of book, and the first edition of any book has some shortcomings. So I will often say, oh, there's a problem here. And I'll point those things out so that you know what's going on. One of the things I'm hoping to do this semester actually is there are a few pictures in the book that have problems with them. Like in one, there's something that's supposed to be a plus sign that's a negative sign, and so I just want to go in and like change that and add the vertical line to make it a plus. So I'll share that kind of improved picture with you, but it's not actually in the book here. Changing the artwork actually is a little bit more complex than changing errors in the writing. So those sorts of things haven't been fixed yet. So there will be some things that I point out that are wrong. And there are some things that I'll point out that are wrong in the chapters that I wrote, okay? It's just part of the process of writing. Some things get left out, some things get overlooked, some things slip by the editors' and authors' eyes that should have been done differently. So I'll be pointing those things out as they come up. But so this is the book that we're working with. Then after the link about the book, the next thing we have here is a table that's basically what we're doing in this course. It's fairly simple. We're here for 10 weeks. And so I've just laid out what we're doing for each of those weeks. I've put the date there. So if you're trying to think of what we're doing, just look at the date there if you can't think of what week we're in. And it's laid out with lecture topic and lab topic. So you can kind of look at those units that I showed you before in the weekly material folder, which I think I'm going to change to the unit material folder. And so unit 1 says unit introduction, unit 2 says biochemistry and cell biology, unit 3 says tissues, unit 4 I think says skin, unit 5 says skeleton, et cetera, et cetera. So it's all laid out right there. We will be doing some lab material, lab approach stuff. And so I've tried to lay out what we're going to do lab-wise in each of the weeks here. It might turn out that I'm not quite to the point where I'm ready to do the lab material on a particular day, and I might save it for the next week or something like that. But I'm going to try to stick with this schedule as much as possible. You'll notice under the lab topics here in week 6, it says lab practical 1, and in week 10, it says lab practical 2. A practical is an exam. A practical exam is how we test lab material. If you've taken a science course before, you've probably had a practical type exam, but the way that I do it in this class is a little bit different. And when we get closer to week 6, I'll explain how that works. And I'll tell you what you need to do to prepare for that. Those two are the only things that you'll be doing, assignments that you'll be doing in class on paper. All the other assignments for this class are done through the Blackboard website. On week 6, when we're doing the lab practical 1, I also have a lecture topic there because the practical exam does not take the whole day. So we'll start off with a practical at the beginning, which will probably only take about an hour or so. And then we'll come back after the test and we'll do some lecture material there. In week 10, there's nothing under the lecture topic. We're only doing lab practical 2 that week. So that week, you'll just take that test, and when you're done with it, that's when you're done for the day. Usually what I do, and when we get closer to that date, I'll decide if I still want to do that. But usually what I do for that, since it's the only thing we're doing, we don't start at 8, we start at 9. Just there's no point for us getting up that early if we're going to get out early anyways. So we'll probably start that day at 9, but everything else obviously starts at 8. So go here if you want to see what we're doing any particular day. I haven't updated the writing for this part, and I really need to do that at some point, but there are some things that are available, resources available online that you might need for the course. Basically, it falls into 3 different categories. The first thing here points to a website that I use for presentation software, which is kind of like PowerPoint, but it's not PowerPoint. It's a different vehicle for that. But if you click on this, it'll take you to my account page for this. The site is called Prezi, which is sort of a cute truncation of the word presentation. But all of the presentations are available. There's 21 of them. It's for A&P 1 and 2, all the different material that I cover. So if you wanted to, for instance, go into the nervous system stuff, which is the end of this semester, this is it. And you can see this stuff as I'm presenting it. Or no, I shouldn't say that. You can see the stuff that I'm going to present. You can have it up in front of you while I'm presenting it. So if you want to bring in a laptop or other device and use that, feel free. And you can have it here. That'll be very useful if in class, as I'm going through things, if I go on to the next slide, so to speak, and you wanted me to stick around for you to write something down or something like that, you can have it up on your screen longer than I have it up on my screen. But also you can go and see this stuff on your own time if you want to go back and look at something while you're studying or working on assignments or something like that. You can get to this site to do that. I did just click on this one that has to do with A&P. All these other ones here happen to be A&P 2 things. But if you want to see all of these presentations, obviously click the More button, and it takes you to all of these. So you can find the ones that have to do with this semester here.
Is this something that we can print out and like have a couple slides for fun?
No, not exactly. If you want to do that, what you can do is if you open one of these up, you can print out what's on the screen here just using the print function for your browser. If you can figure out a way in your browser or on whatever device you're using to print from a full screen thing, you can get more stuff. You want to have all this other stuff here. But there's not a way to print this out specifically. But it's not really necessary to print the whole thing out because the pictures are going to be pictures from the book. Okay. The only things that you'd want to actually print out would be text slides, which this is not a great example of it, but let's say, oh, shoot. I hit an active link there. So if you wanted to get this stuff, okay. Now this is a bad example because I don't usually put this much text on the screen at once, but if for some reason you wanted this text, you could print that out. But you wouldn't have to print out everything because a lot of the pictures are just ones out of the book. Now, you might say, oh my God, why didn't you let us, why didn't you give us something we could print out? I did that on purpose, actually. Like I said, my background's really in neuroscience, which means I know some of the things about how the brain works for learning. The more parts are engaged in completing a task, the more likely you are to incorporate that information from that task. So now, like I said, this is actually a bad example because I don't usually have that much text on the screen, but I might have a bullet list of things. So instead of printing something out, you might want to just write that bullet list down in your notes, something like that. The act of writing engages other parts of your brain, which actually helps you learn things a little bit better. So I did that on purpose. It's not easy to print out because I don't think it's something that you should just print out and have there because that's removing you from the information a little bit more. And I wanted you to have to engage the information a bit more to get at what's important here. Okay. So actually, let me just jump to a different one. Yeah, so immune system, that's A&P 2 material, but better text slides here to show you. So as we're going through this, I'll be talking about, come on. So I'm talking about the lymphatic system, and there are three functions of the lymphatic system. So there's a little text slide. That's more like the kind of text I'd have up on the screen for the most part. So you could just write that down. Probably easier than trying to print out the screen. And again, it also engages parts of your brain to actually do that stuff. So, okay, so that's one of the online resources. The next one, it says YouTube channel here. I actually record the lectures for the most part. There are some things that don't really lend themselves to recording, but if you didn't notice it, there's this fancy mic up here. This microphone is recording everything I'm saying, and it's a fancy mic like this because I used to do it with my phone, and the phone doesn't pick up everything like when I'm walking around the room too well. But so this records things a little bit better, but also it's capturing what's on the screen. Okay. So you can go to the YouTube channel, and there's a bunch of videos there that are just captured lectures. If you just go to this, the link here just shows you all the lectures. I did this all last semester, so these are recordings from the various classes I had. So it always starts off with the section number, and then it tells you the topic. What I'm recording right now, it just says 231, which is Bio 231, and introduction. So it's just the introductory material for the day. So after I finish this and I've hit the stop button on the recording, it'll automatically post it to this page. It takes like 20 or so minutes for the YouTube video to actually get to YouTube, but it'll get there. You can, if you need to, go back to any of the stuff that I've done, and you hit these load more button down at the bottom. Stuff I did all last semester. I don't have everything there, but if you want to go back and listen to something, I do have a traditional lecture. Oh, that was AMP2. Never mind, that won't help you any. The AMP1 lecture course that I'm recording like this is in the fall. But I do have some stuff. You need to go back and look at other stuff from previous semester. It's available there. But more importantly, the stuff from this semester, for the most part, I'm going to be recording the same way. Sometimes it doesn't work. So this one right here, it just has this black screen with a picture of my face. And that picture of my face is my profile picture from my YouTube channel here. That means that the video portion didn't work. The audio portion's there, so it's an audio recording of whatever I did that day. So I left it there because that might help some people. But it doesn't have any of the stuff from the screen. So it's not as good as some of the other ones, which obviously you can see in the thumbnail that there's screenshots there. But it's not a perfect system. It doesn't always work. I think I've worked out all the glitches and it should work, but this is one of the last ones I recorded last semester and it still didn't work properly, so I don't know why I did that. I might have forgotten to hit a particular button or something like that, but that's what's in the YouTube channel.
Is that still under the syllabus right here?
Yeah, so if you click YouTube here and the syllabus under online resources, it'll take you to that page there. The last thing here, this is links to the auto recordings I used to do with just my phone. I did that for several semesters. So if you want to go back and hear me cover material that you don't feel was covered completely in this class, you can go back and hear more in-depth stuff. And I did that for several semesters, and so there are full lecture recordings of stuff there. There's actually two links. One says Google Drive, the other says older recordings. I used to post it to a cloud service, and I filled up that cloud. So I switched to using my Google Drive as a cloud service to save more of them. So you can go back to like 2012, I think is when I started recording them. If you really want to, I just haven't gotten rid of any of those recordings, but they're all there. If you can't find YouTube or what I record here doesn't quite cover stuff, there's more things available. Okay? Just trying to make as much available to you as possible. Okay. Now, we're in here for 4 hours, which is a little bit much to be sitting in a room all at once. So what I'm going to do every day is in the middle of it. Wait, that's 9 o'clock. Yeah, okay, good. I thought it was almost 10 o'clock. Well, since I started saying this, we'll go ahead and finish it. But we're not gonna take a break right now. We will take a break in the middle of things. I just looked at the clock quickly and I saw it coming up on the top of the hour, and I thought it was getting close to 10. It's actually only 9, so we got some more time. But I will try to take a break right at the middle of the course, or middle of the class on any given day. So around 9:50 or so, we'll take a break. I like to give you about 20 minutes. That should be enough time for you to do whatever you need to do. If you're gonna run downstairs, get a little snack, something like that. If you're gonna run outside and slowly kill yourself, whatever you wanna do. Then we'll come back and we'll continue the class. For the recordings I was just talking about, I do 2 recordings for the day. So I record up until the break, save that video, and then I start recording after the break. And so there's 2 videos for the day. And actually, yeah, so here we have 2 videos side by side that are both the same section, DO6. The membrane potentials was probably the first half of the class, and neuronal communication the second half of the class, that sort of thing. So for one day, there will probably be 2 videos. Now, there are some things we do that don't really lend themselves to recording or capturing the lecture like this. Like when we're doing lab material and you're looking at bones or something like that. I won't record that stuff because it just doesn't work for this system. But for the presentation type stuff that I do, for the most part, it will be you'll be able to see stuff here if you need to go back and look at it. Now, I do this partly because you may miss class, and this gives you a chance to get access to what you might have missed. I don't want to encourage people missing class. You really should be here for every class. But things happen, and I want to give everybody a chance to get the information they might miss. We can't predict when any particular person is going to miss any particular class. So I try to record everything I can, so it's all there. And even for people that make it to class on time, or make it to class in general, they might still want these resources. When you're working on stuff, you can go back to this stuff. And if you didn't quite get things, I have a lot of people that say, I just can't figure out the answer to such and such question. And I say, it should be in your notes. I wrote it on the board, something like that. You can go to this stuff. So if you missed something in your notes, which is basically the answer to a question, it'll be here. So you'll have that as sort of a backup resource. Now, the other things that I want to talk about for the syllabus are just some policy kind of things. And since I've kind of talked to this point, the first policy I want to address, which isn't on the screen right here, is about attendance. My attendance policy is you're an adult, okay? Which is to say you can make a decision whether you feel that you need to be in class or not. Okay? But as I just told you, you should be in class all the time. You should be coming to every class. Things do happen. You might not be able to make it to class on a particular day. And as an adult, you can make a decision whether that's the case. There are, however, consequences to not attending class. When I talk about assignments, I'll show you there are makeup assignments for people that miss class. That's one of the things in how I run my class that doesn't work perfectly. And I'll explain why when I show it to you. But I still think it's useful to have those there as a consequence for missing class. Now, you really should be in class and here on time. So the makeup assignments apply to being absent or late. And I will purposely not tell you how late I consider late. you should be here on time. If I tell you, oh, you need to be here within X number of minutes, then I'm gonna have everybody walking in 1 minute shy of that cutoff line. So it's however I feel on a given morning when I start marking people as late. If I mark you as late, or if you're absent, then you'll have to do the makeup assignment. I have had students that have basically just not come to class at all, and said, well, heck, I can do the makeup assignments, no big deal, but I don't want to come to class. They have not done very well in this class. Since there are only 9 class meetings, or I should say 8, because you're here today, so that doesn't count. So we got 8 more class meetings, and then we have the last day we're taking that last test. You're going to come for that day, because if you don't, get a 0 test. But so there are 8 times you need to be here after today. Things may come up. If you start missing classes a lot, which you're an adult, you can make that choice. Just understand that you're not likely to pass the course if you don't come on a regular basis. Even the lecture capture, the recordings that I have, aren't going to make up for being here and being engaged in material. And like I said, I don't necessarily record everything. There are some things we do that don't lend themselves to this kind of capture approach. So just writing off the class and not coming in, you're not going to have access to all the information you need to complete this course successfully. If you miss 2 classes completely, or you're late to several classes, which in my mind adds up to a couple of absences, I'll have an issue. I don't have a hard cutoff date, hard cutoff number. Like if you miss 2 classes, you're out, you're withdrawn or something like that. Instead, what I do is if you miss classes and you're not active in the class on Blackboard, I will turn your access to Blackboard off. Okay? If you gave up on the class and you just aren't coming in anymore anyways, and you don't realize that I cut off your Blackboard access, then no big deal. You weren't going to do the work anyways. But by cutting off your Blackboard access, if you are serious about the course and you try to get on Blackboard, you're like, I can't get into Blackboard, what's going on? That forces us to have a conversation about why you weren't coming to class. And you might have a reason, and I'll say, okay, I understand, and I'll open the Blackboard access up for you again. If we never have that conversation, then you're going to never complete the class, the work on the class on Blackboard, and you'll fail the class. I do not withdraw people from this class. There is a date. It's probably the week before the end of the semester, so the last week in July. You have to withdraw from the class or you get a grade under transcript. So if you stop coming to class and I cut off your Blackboard access and you don't care, you'll get an F for the class. Not being here doesn't automatically withdraw you from the class. You don't want to take this class, you have to fill out the paperwork to drop this class. If you blow things off and then sometime in mid-July, you're like, oh my God, I got to finish this class, and you go online and you find out that you don't have access to Blackboard anymore, I will try to help you get caught up as much as possible, but understand that I won't like it. Okay? If you're blowing off the class that much and you're putting things off the last minute, I'm not going to have a whole lot of respect for you. But that's how it works. Okay? You're an adult, you have your ability to make decisions about what's important in your life, and there are sometimes things that are more important than this class. I understand that. If you regularly put things before this class, and sometimes there are a lot of things that come up, we'll end up having a discussion about your continued success in this course. And we might come from that with the understanding that you really need to do some work and you're going to bust your butt and you're going to get it done. Or we might come to the agreement that you really shouldn't have been in this class to begin with. For whatever reason, there's a bad summer for you, et cetera, et cetera. And you'll want to withdraw from the course so you don't get an F on your transcript. So, but that's essentially the attendance policy. Okay. It's rather fluid because of all the different possible things that can come up. I used to be really strict about it. I used to be, during regular semesters, you can miss 3 classes. During the summer, you can miss 1 class or something like that. But then when that H1N1 virus outbreak came along 4 years ago, 3 years ago now, whatever, there are too many people that are getting really sick, and it wasn't their fault. And so I was a bit more relaxed about my attendance policy for that reason. And I made it more individualistic. So you might have reasons that you can't be here. If I'm not seeing you putting the effort into the work, then I'm going to cut off your Blackboard access. If you notice that, because you are actually trying to do stuff in class, you'll have to contact me and we'll have to have a discussion and we'll figure out what's going on in your situation and what you need to do to complete the course, or whether you might just not want to complete the course at all. So I don't have a specific policy, how many classes you have to attend or something like that. But I do have in my head an idea of how much effort I want to see coming out of your work. And do understand that people that don't come to class don't do well. One semester I said, what the heck, let's see what happens. And I had 2 students who just didn't come to class. They were both basically medical reasons, and they just stopped coming to class. But they were still doing work on Blackboard, so they were putting an effort in. But at the end, they both failed because they were missing out on what's required of the course to actually be here. And they just weren't as prepared to complete the course as they should have been. Okay. So since I was talking about attendance, I wanted to go ahead and deal with that policy there. But just following the syllabus along, here it's just talking about contacting me. In the summer, I don't have official office hours. You can make an appointment with me. Generally speaking, if you're going to meet with me, you're probably going to want to meet with me right after class. Ostensibly, my office hours are, say, 12 to 1 on Tuesdays. But really, any time that works with you that you can make an appointment, feel free. I have a calendar link here, and if you go to that, you'll see there's nothing on my calendar. One of the things I need to set up for the course, for the summer, is I need to put in appointment slots here. So there will be times, because I have meetings or something like that, that I definitely will be on campus. And I'll make appointment slots available for that. So you can go in here and you can sign up for one of those. So for instance, this is the end of last semester. This is the kind of thing it would look like. There wouldn't be that many for summer because I'm not on campus that much. But you could click on one of these, holding the mouse over it, it tells you this is for May 4th, 8:30 to 9 o'clock in the morning. You click on this, put your name in, and that would automatically sign you up for an appointment. When you do that, I get a notification, text and email saying that you've signed up for an appointment, so I know to expect you. So I'll put those in for this semester for the summer. Basically, I'll put some assignment blocks for, say, a couple hours after I teach. So from 12 to 2 on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, either of those are available. If you don't sign up, if I don't have anybody signed up for an appointment, I'll likely leave, okay, unless I have work to do. I'm still trying to work out with my wife our home schedule. She sees summer as that time that I'm at home to do everything. And she doesn't quite understand that I do have a job. Being a teacher doesn't mean that I have summers off. But what I would like to do, is, especially on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, is be here all afternoon and be able to get a lot of work done. But sometimes she just doesn't see it that way. So I got a boss. I gotta deal with that. But I will put appointment slots in there to make things available. And I do know that there are some other days that I'll be here. I have stuff on Monday next week. The very beginning of July, I have to be here all week for something else I'm doing. So I'll put appointment slots in to be available if you want to make an appointment with me. Now, if you want to meet with me and it's after class, you don't have to get on here and make an appointment to meet with me. But if you're thinking like the night before you can't sleep and you're like, I got to talk to Dr. Poe, you can sign up for an appointment so that you know that it's set. But it's not required to make an appointment with me. If you're in class and you want to meet with me, just afterwards come up and say, can I meet with you? If I have an appointment, I'll say, I'm sorry, I have an appointment. For instance, today I have to meet with some people from my spring semester class. One of them has to be at work at 12:45, so we're going to meet right after class today. But generally, I should be available most days after class. This particular meeting set up. The best ways to contact me are by email, and this is a link to my email address, or I have a phone number here that you can send texts to me. And one of the things I had set up for the before the first class thing was for you to send text to me. If you haven't done that, please do. I'll show you the stuff in that before the first class folder in a sec, but that's a link to it. I've made those active links, so if you click on the email, you click on the text, if you have your browser set up to interact with other apps, it'll go ahead and launch an email or launch your text messaging if you click on that. Or you can call that phone number too. I don't usually answer that phone number, but you can leave a voicemail, and if you leave a voicemail, I get a text saying there's a voicemail, and a very amusing attempt at transcribing that. I don't know why, but Google is trying to get text recognition to work, and it doesn't. So I get a text with what's supposed to be what you say on your voicemail, but of course it's never correct. It's just random words that sound like what you said. But at least I get notified right away when there's a voicemail, so I can get back to you as quickly as possible. A little bit of extra help here. In the summer, there's not as much extra help available, but there's probably some people over in Building 27 that can help you. There's tutoring. There may or may not be an A&P tutor. But there probably is a biology tutor or maybe a chemistry tutor that could help you at least at the beginning of the semester. The library can help you if you're trying to find information. They might be able to help you. Somewhere over in Building 27, I think the Student Success Center, they can help you with tech issues if you can't get on a website that you need to use or something like that. It's there. Few phone numbers that can help you. This is about attendance. Grading, pretty straightforward across the whole school. Grading scale is always the same, but I put it in here. We don't have an A+, so anything above a 93 is considered an A. But other than that, it's a pretty standard grade scale. I round up, so if you get an 89.5, that's an A. If you get an 89.4, it's a B+. Sorry, if you get an 89.5, it's an A minus. If you get an 89.4, it's a B+. If you get an 89.4, it's a B+. Okay. Actually, if you have an 89.49999, my gradebook app will probably round it up to 89.5. But if it doesn't say 89.5 to some degree, it doesn't get rounded up. Okay. I'll come back to the academic behavior thing, which is about cheating in a little while. So there's that. I'll come back to safety in a little while also. Weather, it might seem like that's not a big deal. Usually in New England, when we're talking about weather issues for classes, we're talking about snow days. Unlikely that we'll have any snow days over the summer. But there is actually a weather issue in the summer that we do need to deal with. It probably won't happen, but we do close the college down on very hot days. We are probably well, maybe not the biggest, but one of the biggest customers for the electric company that serves Springfield. So on very, very hot days, they will ask us to shut down so that we don't draw as much electricity while residential customers are trying to keep cool with their air conditioners like that. It usually happens once or twice over the summer and more often in August than anything else. But it's essentially a snow day in the summer. So if the school announces that it's going to be closed for the day, we'll have to make it up somehow. I don't like having to make up by extending the semester, so I'm going to try as much as I can to keep to the schedule that we have. If we do miss a day for a weather emergency, I'll try to figure out some way around it. If I can't do it, then we will have to push back one more week into August, but I'd rather not do that. And it's highly unlikely that that'll actually happen. Okay, one, obviously it'd have to happen on a Tuesday. Not that Tuesdays are cooler than the other days, but so 1 in 5 chance of hitting one of the days that people are at school. And then also, like I said, it usually happens in August because that's when we usually have the hottest days of the summer. I state here children in the classroom policy, which is basically no. Okay. I don't mean to be anti-children or anything like this, but this is a science department. It's not safe for children. This is an institute of learning. It's distracting to other students to have children running around doing that sort of thing. Not everybody quite ascribes to that policy, so we might have kids running around in the hallway making a lot of noise, which I think is a horrible policy for anybody. And also, they shouldn't be in this department running around by themselves. But as far as I'm concerned, if you have childcare issues, take care of your child first. If you have to stay home or something like that, please do that. And that would fall into the category of things that you have to put in front of class. And I've already discussed the attendance policy. So just generally speaking, no kids in the classroom, and it's primarily for their safety, and then secondarily for everybody's ability to concentrate and not having distractions in the classroom. I'm going to talk about the assignments in a bit more detail back on the, or in other parts of the Blackboard section, but this kind of lays it all out right there. Lecture and lab stuff. Some things about how the computer grades stuff laid out there, how much you should write, sources, and then ends with extra credit. And then just a disclaimer, this is biology. It can be gross. If you're grossed out by stuff, deal with it. So I think that kind of goes through most of the policies. I do want to get back. What were those two? Safety and, so let me talk about safety for a second. We're in a lab room, like I said. So it's important that you are familiar with some of the safety issues in this class. So let me just do my little quick safety orientation. So I want to start with a couple of things that actually apply to the whole campus. And then we'll sort of move down to things that are about this department, about this room. So the first thing I want to point out, and hopefully you can notice this downstairs, there are some posters on the walls. If you need to contact emergency services, you should dial 3911. Do not use your cell phone to dial 911. When you're on campus, if you need emergency responders, 3911 is actually a phone number to the campus police department, which is one of the little buildings right across the parking place. If you are picking up a phone that's connected to the building wall like this, just dial 3911, we'll get you there. If you're using your phone number, it's actually a real phone number, so it's 755-3911. Use that to call. We have first responders here on campus that can get here much quicker than the 911 operator can send anybody over. When it happens, there's people in the police department that can come right over. They'll come over and assess and figure out what to do. They'll coordinate with the 911 operator if we need an ambulance or something like that to come around. We do have the head of our student health is also a first responder, so he can come over if an ambulance isn't necessary, something like that. But it's much better to do that than to just use your cell phone and call 911.
If you do that, call 911 and you say, I'm in building 2, I need somebody to come by. They don't know where building 2 is. And if you notice, the building's not laid out in any kind of order here. We're in building 2, next to building 13, which is next to building 17, which is next to building 27. They're just not in order. Okay? If we need to get somebody on campus, then the main gate, which is part of the police department, will coordinate that. They'll send them directly to this building. They'll also make sure that they shut down the traffic on this road out here so that they can come in and go against the direction of traffic to get here quicker rather than driving all the way around with all the speed bumps. They'll coordinate getting people on campus if needed. And again, if needed, they can make the assessment. Now, I have had to use this a few times. One time in the summer, a student who worked 3rd shift and then came to class did not eat breakfast before she got here, so she passed out, low blood sugar, something like that. Please have breakfast before you come here. The next time that it happened, a student face planted onto the desk. I think it was that desk right there, which was kind of weird. I was just sitting up front doing a presentation. She just went like that. The person next to her, a good friend of her, knew what was going on, which was she was getting married that weekend. She had either just gone to or was planning for a honeymoon to go to Brazil because that's where her fiance is from. And she had either just met or was about to meet her in-laws for the first time. And she had a major AP test at 7. So generally speaking, don't schedule any major life events while you're taking your class. Actually what it was is she also had a heart condition. She had low blood pressure. So with all of that stress in her life and whatever was going on, something happened and her blood pressure kind of bottomed down. She fainted. She was horribly embarrassed, but the person sitting next to her knew that and was able to help. And actually, the person sitting next to her was in the health field, so was able to deal with her and helped get the proper information to the emergency responders that had come. The take-home message from that is if you have any medical history that might be relevant, it'd be helpful if somebody knew that. You are not by any means required to share with me any of your personal information, but if you feel that there's something that you should let me know, I will keep that private. Okay? And if it's needed, it'll come up. Meaning if I have to tell emergency responders that you passed out because you are diabetic, whatever, I'll share that. And for some reason, that's the one that I hear most. So people will say they're diabetic and they have everything under control, but if something happens, it helps. You are not required to let me know that. If somebody's sitting next to you, you're friends with, and you want to share that kind of information, that can help too. But it's really up to you how you want to do it. In that same vein, the 3rd time that this needed to be used was for me. Okay? I have a heart condition, kind of like that woman that passed out. I have low blood pressure and a number of other things. If you take AMP2 with me, you'll learn much more about the heart. But it was in the summer. I was up front. I was presenting. And as I'm standing here next to the screen and talking about whatever, I started to feel a little woozy. So I just grabbed the stool here and sat down and finished what I was doing because I'm just that kind of teacher. It was about 9:45. So I went ahead and sat down after I finished whatever I was talking about and dismissed everybody for the break. And then as I was sitting there, I tried standing up and I just couldn't bear weight on my legs. So I sat back down. I used my cell phone to dial 413-755-3911 myself, and I got here, and then I dismissed class. We didn't finish up in that day. I spent a lovely weekend at basic. So you are not required to share any information with me, but I just want to let you know that I do have some cardiac issues, and it has actually had an impact on class when I was teaching. So if for some reason I keel over and you have to call 3911 for me, you can let them know I have a cardiac condition. And actually, come to think of it, I was supposed to put on my necklace with my medical alert information. But that's sitting at home, which doesn't help too much. But that I will remember to put that on in the future. That's not likely to happen. My docs have gotten me my meds under control pretty well. But I just want you to know that something like that can happen. Please do not pray for it. On the day that we have the practical, don't say, oh, please let him pass out. I have some colleagues who will take over the class for me if need be. But also, if I do pass out, I don't want to go to Bay State. The cardiology department at Bay State and I don't get along very well. There was security involved. Unfortunately, I have to go to either Bay State or Mercy, so until I have an incident in Mercy, I got no Mercy. Actually, my wife wants to come pick me up and take me up to food if that ever happens. Anyways, so that was a lovely weekend in Bay State. So 3911. Anywhere on campus, if you have your cell phone, dial the full 10-digit number, but that'll get emergency responders right here on campus. The other thing that's kind of campus-wide, but probably will only apply to you when you're here, are emergency procedures that you have to evacuate. In any room you're in, there should be a white placard on this wall like this saying what to do when you need to evacuate. For this room, what you need to do is go down to the end of the hall, down the stairs, and get away from the building. If we need to evacuate the building, that red box in the ceiling is the fire alarm. It'll start flashing, and a voice will come on saying something like, an emergency has been reported in your area, please evacuate the building. That voice will repeat over and over again. If that voice starts up and then stops, that means we can ignore it. That means that somebody set it off by accident and they turned it off. But if the voice keeps repeating, that means that we need to get up. It doesn't happen that often, but it may. So I want to be sure you're aware of that. Go to the end of the hall that direction, take the end stairwell down, and move across the street, preferably towards the green space on that side of the building, but across the street that way is fine too. That way is better because that's how we know when they've cleared the building and go back inside. They always forget to tell people. But the idea is to get away from the building. I would think it'd be common sense that you should not stand next to a building that might be on fire. But you'll be surprised at how many people just go out the door and stop and lean against the wall of the school. Okay. Please put some space between you and the building. Any other place you are on campus should have some instructions like this of what to do. I don't know what they are for the other rooms, but this is for us. More departmental, this, which used to be up on the wall above the door, has to do with the departmental policies about what you can do in this room. Now, actually, the first one, which is no smoking, is not a departmental policy. It's actually state law. It's against state law to smoke in any state buildings. Going back to the fire alarm, one summer, probably about 5 years ago now, we had to evacuate because some guy thought it'd be smart to go and smoke in the boys' room. Okay. And he threw his cigarette into the trash, and the trash caught on fire. Had this lovely burning plastic smell in the building. And it was this floor, that boys' room right across the hall. We had to deal with that smell, we had to evacuate, et cetera, et cetera. But no smoking in the building. In fact, no smoking within 25 feet of the doors. Those blue lines that you see are actually there to show you you should not be smoking within that much space of the door. Then it says no eating. This is a biology lab, and you can be exposed to potential pathogens. The easiest way to get pathogens into your body is through oral ingestion, whatever. And your hand touching surfaces in this room, you put your hands on food, you put food in your mouth, you get it into your mouth. No eating whatsoever. And that's not just between 8 and 12. It's not no eating during class. It's no eating in this room. So if you're in here before class or after class, you're having a snack or during break, I'll ask you to go outside. That sign also says no drinking, but I actually don't enforce that. I do have some rules about drinking, but you are allowed to have drinks. Now, you might have noticed already that I have a drink up here, and I have been drinking today. Because of my cardiac issues and my low blood pressure, I need to keep hydrated. So I'm always going to have something to drink up here. And I'm not the type of professor that's going to say, well, I'm the professor, I can do what I want, but you're the student, you have to follow the rules. So if I'm going to drink, you're going to be able to drink too. The rule, however, is it has to be in a covered container. Okay? So I have a travel mug there. I see various water bottles with screw top lids or whatever, those are fine. A sippy cup, and by that I don't mean, the SpongeBob SquarePants cup from home, but if you get something with a straw from Dunkin' Donuts, iced coffee or something like that, that's fine too. I just don't want to see open containers or pop-top cans. Okay? Those spill very easily, and especially pop-top cans like Monster drinks or whatever are rich in sugar, and sugar is a great source for bacteria to grow on. So if you spill that kind of stuff, then you're going to just increase the pathogens living in this room. If you are addicted to those kind of drinks, they have websites where you can buy paraphernalia for them, and you can buy a little thing to put over the pop-top can so that it becomes a travel mug. Okay? If you need it that much, okay? It would be worth your while to invest in that little thing. But otherwise, keep it in a covered container of some sort. I have colleagues who will say, well, yeah, you can drink in here, but it can only be water. I'm not going to police that. Okay, I have an opaque container there. I'm not going to look inside something like that to make sure that you're drinking water. And even if I can see that you have a clear liquid there, I'm not going to sniff it and make sure that's in fact water, not vodka or something like that. Okay? I would not suggest that you drink vodka, but sometimes you might need some sugar or caffeine on board to make it through this class. I understand that. So coffee or soda or whatever is fine. Just we want to control spillage as much as possible. So covered containers. Usually I'm doing that whole spiel from the back because the next thing I want to talk about is the safety shower. Back here, this handle is the handle to start a safety shower, which we have here. It is code for any room that has a fume hood like this. It has to have a safety shower. We don't actually use the fume hood, but the fact that it's in this room, and it's in this room because we used to use it back in the 80s or 90s. So the shower is installed. And since the shower is installed, it has to be a functional shower. So it is tested on a regular basis here. You don't have to test it. But that means don't have to just pull down on this. While it's code to have a shower when you have a hood, apparently it's not code to have a drain. There's no drain for the shower. There is a computer lab beneath us. And the IT department would be very upset if we were to flood the computer. So please don't pull on this. And I point this out because you will be back here. This cabinet contains microscope slides, so if you're waiting back here to grab your box of microscope slides, this is not just fitting in handwriting. We have another water feature in the room, which might be slightly more likely to be used, although not really, which is the eye wash station up here. If you get something in your eyes, there's a big button that even a blind person can see, and you can flush your eyes out with the eye wash station. Not very likely to happen. There's not really anything we do in here that is going to lead to needing eye wash stations, but students can always be very inventive. So it's here. Also, while I'm over here, we have gloves. Really, you should provide your own gloves, but I don't require that of my students because we just don't use gloves that often, especially in A&B 1. If you feel that you need gloves for any particular reason, they're over here. If you feel that you need gloves because you're just scared of all the germs in here, buy your own gloves. But for one or two times during the semester, we have some over here. There's nothing in A&P 1 that we really need gloves for. The stuff that I do that requires gloves in this class is in A&P 2. So you're not likely to need gloves. Somewhere there's supposed to be a bunch of safety goggles, not these, because if you look at that poster up there, you can see that these aren't very good at protecting your eyes. But somewhere around here we have a drawer with a bunch of safety goggles, and I can't remember which drawer it is. And again, oh, there it is, the one that says safety glasses. So if you do need safety glasses, we have some over here, but there's really nothing we do. We have a fire blanket back here and a fire extinguisher over there by the safety shower.
Don't expect them to ever be needed, but they're available if it comes up. With the smoking in the boys' room incident I described, if I'd realized what was going on, I could have just taken the fire extinguisher and put the fire out, and nothing would have happened. But we didn't know that's what happened. We have these things called material safety data sheets. These are instructions on what to do if you're exposed to any noxious chemicals. Probably the most noxious chemical that we have in here is bleach. So these yellow top spray bottles are bleach containers. If you feel like you need to clean off the surface where you're sitting, you're welcome to use these. Generally speaking, as long as you don't drink it, it's okay. But we do have a material safety data sheet for that, or we should. Other chemicals we have are generally in this cabinet here. These are staining chemicals. And again, if you don't drink them, it's not a big deal. The worst that's going to happen, short of drinking them, is you might get purple fingertips for a day or two. If you do feel you need to look at information about something that you're exposed to, we have some here. We're in the process of updating that system, and it's going to be online eventually, but that's what we have for now. So that's my safety orientation there. Everybody feel safer now? Okay. I don't think there's going to be anything this semester that I need to talk about, but if there are specific safety instructions that are relevant to what we're doing on a given day, I'll talk about those. Let's see. It's about 1:15 now. I want to talk about academic behavior also, but it's going to take me a little bit more time to talk about that than we have available before I take a break. So let's go ahead and take a break now, and then we'll come back and I'll talk about that, and I'll talk about the assignments, and then we'll actually do something related to anatomy and physiology. So it's a little earlier than I normally break, but let's say about 20 minutes. So by that clock, be back in here about 5 after, and we'll keep going. I don't lock the door during breaks. Somebody's probably in here. I'll tend to stay in here for a while. But if you have anything you don't want to leave unattended, take it with you.